Hey, Joe, are you recording? Okay, good. So good morning, everybody. But do you find it funny? You watch a football game, and every once in a while, you'll see someone kind of break through, and they have a phenomenal play, and then arrogantly they're in the end zone going, "Hey, look at me, I did that." And then the contrast to that is, the running back breaks through the line. The blocks were fantastic. The hole was large. Someone else downfield makes another great block. And, using a technique that his coaches have taught him for years, he gets in the end zone and scores. And then immediately turns around and thanks everybody for their help on the play. And we just couldn't do that enough in our business. We have so many people who help us. Just think about the list that goes on just getting a transaction done. I think we've counted this up before. It can go as high as 40 individuals have had some impact on a file. So we couldn't express our gratitude enough to those who help us get our jobs done. So in 2021, I'm looking at the landscape, and I've got a couple things. Look, we're going to talk about a number of different things I think that we need to be focused on, but I'm not going to kind of, I'm not going to give any content today that we're going to go over on the 21st. That's a Thursday. It's a 9:30 start sharp. Frankly, I think most of us will join at about 9. And do some tests and things like that. But 9:30 to 12:30, we've got two great speakers that will be joining us. This is a one-time thing. We're not dividing it front and back. We're doing it one time. My goal, I suspect, or my prediction, is that we will have over 300 of us on this Zoom meeting. I hope we get higher than that. We very well could. I would hope everyone joins that day live. Of course, it will be recorded, and it will be a very motivational, a lot on planning. So any questions about any of that, put them in the chat. I'll address them. So we've got another roll tide. Okay. Roll tide. All right. Well, okay. Let's go to here. Let me show. I've got, tell you what, grab blank piece of paper, and we're going to write down 10 different areas to evaluate as we make our plans for 2021. And yes, in the future, I will already have this ready for you, but right now we're just going to have you write them in. Okay. The first one, we're going to call it a general overview. So just write general overview. There's 10 segments. So number one, general overview. And then make some space for that. Give yourself a space to write. Number two is going to be mindset. Mindset, number two. Number three is personal growth and training. Again, give yourself some space to write. Number four is leverage and time management. Leverage and time management, number four. Number five is organization and process. Organization and process, number five. Number six is prospecting. Okay, I hope you're writing these down. Be an A student. Be an A student. It's the only way to be. Be a front rower. Okay, next is planning, number seven. Number eight is presentation and communication skills. Presentation and communication skills. Uh-oh, did I mess up my numbers? Last one is service and promises. Let me count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. What the? Oh, okay. No, I got it. Okay, so the 10th area is your historical results. Okay, now I'm going to show you all that. You wrote it down, right? So if you missed it, don't worry about it. Let me show you. Okay, right here. So when we get our new training manuals, coaching manuals, on, I love this, on page 66, it's got page numbers. Here are 10 categories. And what we do is we're going to put some 1 to 10 ratings on each one of these. Okay. So here, let's do all this together. I'll tell you what, we're going to save the historical results for later, but I would challenge you to know where your business is, what your units are, your volume in the last 3 years. Very important for you as a CEO of your business to know that. Okay. Let's go to the next one, a general overview. This is a very common way to look at kind of where are we? What's your strength? What's your challenges? Have you ever heard of the SWOT analysis? Nod your heads. Yes. Okay. Some of you are. Okay, good. So yeah, strength, weakness, opportunities, threats, things like that. So what we're doing is kind of looking at that from a general overview. So take a minute. Let's just look, knee-jerk reactions here, just the common things that roll to the top. You can come back to this later and do a deeper dive. But what are your strengths and what's your challenge? Write that down in like 10 seconds. Go ahead and go. Strengths and challenges. So when I do more of a one-on-one coaching, I dive into the rest of this. Like what opportunities do you see in front of you? This is a very good telling sign. What about this? What are you hoping to get out of this evaluation? So a lot of times I get, I was hoping to learn this or hoping to get that. And what do you really want to try to get out of coaching this year? What do you want to get out of growth this year? That's a kind of a very broad statement. Okay. I like this one. What's the one thing you can improve on that would make the biggest difference? Will you answer that one too? The one thing that you could improve that would make the biggest difference this year to you. What would that be? One thing you could improve upon that would make the biggest difference. Now, each one of these, we give a rating, like a general overview of your real estate business, rate it from 1 to 10. So your satisfaction. Okay. Let's, maybe I'll come back. No, you know what? Do me a favor. Will you put your answer to that last question in the chat? Let's see what everyone's thinking. What's the one thing you could do that would make the most positive difference in 2021? Most positive difference. Overcoming fear of failure, okay? Being more consistent, staying focused. Lots of distractions, Bev, that's right. Planning, okay, organize, more consistent prospecting, very common one, John. Ron, to act, okay, very good. Tracking my numbers better, good, Cindy, you should be doing that. You've got great numbers to track. So Kristen, hire an assistant and coordinator. Okay, this is going to fall into one of our other categories. And Kristen, your production is right there to warrant that. Kathy, consistent communication. I love that one too. Leslie, more phone calls. Okay, reaching out. Elizabeth, okay. It was, I don't know if you meant that to be private, but it didn't sound private, but it's okay. I won't read it then. Angie, better, follow up, organize, good. All these are great. Brian, task prioritization, great. Time management, follow up, hire some help. Okay, really good, guys. More networking. Julie Livers, follow up on a regular basis. Yeah. These are, I probably have heard this for decades. This year, and this is the common battles that we fight in our business. So now that we know kind of what would make the best difference, the most difference, then we can figure out how to tackle that, right? And Debbie, more consistent follow up on referrals. Very good. Yeah, the struggle is real, John. Yep, the struggle is real. And we're all the same. Have you noticed that your peers are saying the same thing that you're thinking? Yeah. Yep. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go on to mindset. So on mindset, I guess I'm looking for, if I were just sitting you and I one-on-one, I would ask you, do you like what you do? Do you enjoy it? How I say, rate your love for your work. Now, you could imagine if you told me something like a 3, a 0, a 5, then we probably have something to talk about. Like, why is that? And if I said if you said you were passionate about it, I'd say, why? Are you passionate? See, this is the fuel. So why don't you write all that? Why don't you answer a few of these? Notice we've also got, what fears do you have? That kind of came up in our, what would make the most difference. So what are the fears? When do you feel fear, down or overwhelmed? What do you do? I think we would talk all that out. And we can come back and do a deeper dive into this later. Do you think here, let me stop sharing for just a sec. We'll come back to this. All right, let's just chat for a second. Do you think if we love what we do, it matters how we do it? Yeah. Okay, so if that one's obvious, let me throw maybe a little different perspective question at it. Can you learn to love it? Okay, let's take a poll. Look, we've all been on planet Earth a while, this group, Has there ever been anything in your life that at one point you didn't like, but later on you learned to love it? Yes or no? I can think of a lot of things that I didn't really like as a teenager or my 20s, but later on in life, yeah, thanks. Yes, there are a lot of things that we learn to love. Like as a teenager, I really wasn't a fan of going to church, but I enjoy going to church. I mean, I choose to do that. I like it. I like to be there. I didn't like playing the piano at all when I was a teenager. My mom would be like, I'm so frustrated, but I found a love for it later. I hated to run. Running was painful. Who enjoys running? And now I drive around. If I see someone outside running, I'm actually jealous that they're running. But that's 3 things that I didn't like, and now I do. So could we learn to love some things, like prospecting, for example, and follow-up? I mean, some of these things we put on there, could we learn to get a passion for them? And how would you learn to do that? What would you do? And isn't this in the mindset category? Jennifer, .loop. You can learn. It's an affirmation. Let's say it together. I love .loop. Yeah, thank you. I love .loop. It's an affirmation, Okay. I guess I have to be able to be entertaining to myself, because I always say Zoom's a tough crowd, man. So anyway, I know you guys, some of you are laughing with me. Thank you so much. It gives me hope that I'm not crazy and driving everyone nuts. But okay, I can love .loop, but I can love prospecting. I can love finding new leads. I can love CMAs. I can love writing offers. I can love all that, whatever the thing is. So, okay. Thanks, Jennifer. We are laughing with you. That's good. With is good. At, maybe not so much. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Obviously, our mindset has an awful lot to do with how well we approach things. And, if you ever find yourself saying something negative, put the word yet at the end of it. Like if you say, well, I'm just not a tech savvy agent, right? Well, I'm not a tech savvy agent yet. I've never liked .loop, not from the start. Well, you don't love it yet, so try that out. That can help our mindset. Okay. We'll come back and do deeper dives on some of this stuff later. And you can, sir, later when we get this full manual. Next one is personal growth and training. So this is a big one for me, this first question. So let's answer that. How often do you study the business? How many hours do you study? So if you're saying to yourself, well, what do you mean study? Then we know we've got a problem. I don't know. Sorry. I'm okay. Maybe I am laughing at you a little bit. Sorry. But if you already know what you're studying, then we're there, right? We can study the market. We can study our forms and all the legalities of it. We can study trends, and we can study technologies, our communication skills. So you become what you study, aren't you? Don't you become what you study? So if you're not studying anything, that's dangerous, right? I keep looking to the side because you guys are over here on my other screen, just so you know, okay? But don't you think it's dangerous that if you're not studying anything, you know? I was mentioning something to someone yesterday, an agent who was thinking about joining us, and we kind of got onto I guess how important study is. And I just remember thinking that I hope my children will remember seeing their dad, seeing their dad, 10 o'clock at night, walking in, there I am in bed, and I'm reading something. I'm studying something. I hope they'll remember that it's not just saying it, but they watched me study. And I studied because I wanted to. Okay, so here, let me stop sharing. I'm going to give you two of my favorite books. You guys ready? Tell me if you've already devoured these. I think these are essentials. Okay, here they are. The E-Myth. Yeah, nod your head. Yeah, E-Myth. The reason I like this is because it's going to remind us how important it is to use the resources around us. Yeah, thanks, Sally. So it's a team effort. We wear the hat of CEO, but there's also others around us. It defines the manager, the technician. And process is well spoken of in this book. So I think it would help you look at your business as a business and what's your next step, okay? What the great thing about being at Brookshire is you've got tons of resources around you. Here's the next one. So the 4 disciplines, hey, John, nice job. Yes. Okay, John just showed us his version. Okay, his copy. Okay, so this one is the 4 disciplines of execution, or the 4DX. Authors here, Sean Covey, which is Steve Covey's son. And this one, look, I've got this one really studied, as you can tell. And I'll use a lot of the references in this book when we talk. Like, what is a leading measure? And so I would encourage you to study this. This will really help you with tackling the things that really matter. There's a lot of different ways to say these things. This style I kind of like, and it does show up in our training manual. There's a summary page of the concepts of that book. So you become what you study, right? You become what you study. So study something good. Okay. So let's do this. Well, here, one more important question on this is describe your morning routine. A lot of times I'll find the medication for the problem is to improve the morning, and then we improve the day. And if we improve the day, we improve the week, the month, and the life. So if you improve your morning, you can improve your life. So reevaluate your morning routine. I think a bad morning routine is to wake up and then go to this, right? By the way, that's my granddaughter. Isn't she so cute? Look how cute she is. Anyway, if you wake up in the morning and you grab your phone and you start reading the news is so negative, right? And that's a really bad way to start the day. All the things that are wrong. Yes, I know those blue eyes. Oh my gosh. Okay, one more time. Look how cute she is. Okay. Sorry, crazy grandparent phase that I'm in. And you guys, I have 3 granddaughters. Yeah, they all the kids were pregnant at the same time. So anyway, thanks, Linda. She is adorable. Yeah, looks a little sassy. Well, that little cracker, hanging there. So think about that in the morning. I try to, I've told some of you guys this before, but I used to love to just read the paper in the morning. I liked actually the actual paper, and that was my routine for a long, long time. I don't do that anymore. Matter of fact, I don't really consume much news anymore. I consume positive and uplifting things. I like to listen. You could do a book on tape, or I like to listen to talks. I like to go to TED Talks a lot. And I like to do that while I'm exercising. And so you end up with a different morning routine. And if you haven't done that, it's okay. Just try it. Just try it for a while. And if you say you don't feel like it, then I would tell you, you don't feeling like it is not a requirement. You see, Michael is in there telling his good friend about how feeling like it is not required. You guys can see me in my view here. Okay, let's move on from mindset. Let's go to the next one. So give yourself a rating, 1 to 10. How's your mindset? 1 to 10. A lot of you are probably 9s and 10s. I know you. So a lot of you are doing real well there. But if you need to change your morning routine, this is where we do it. Let's go to the next one. Leverage and time management. So this one is, what's your biggest time drains? This is the thing that's taking a lot of your time. You don't feel like you get a lot of return on that. And what weaknesses have you observed in yourself that are also important to your business? So this one is contemplating potential hire. That's the reason why that question is phrased that way. And how well do you delegate? So think about that and give yourself a 1 to 10 rating there. Got it? Let's move on. Organization and process. Again, one of my mentors early on in my career challenged us to define each step in the process towards closing. So once you define that income chain, it's been called, but whatever the steps are, do we have a clear idea of who's responsible for these steps? That's a good question. This is going to send you kind of into the weeds, into the details of every deal you do. It's going to start with, how do I even generate a lead? What's the follow-up to that? So think of tools, technologies, emails, campaigns, databases are all in this. And then once they transition to a potential client, how does that look? Once they are a client, how does that look? Who touches the file? How does it get turned in? Here comes dot loop, right? And all the people that are involved in that. Well, when you start to map that out, you might come across some things and areas that you need to improve, okay? In this category also, we do talk about database. And let me stop sharing for a second, and we'll just grab this off the wall since I have it here. In the business planning map, one of the things that we need to know of is, what is your database count? So will you put that down and write it down right now? What is your count in your database? If you don't know the count, then we go back a step and we get them organized, right? We get that database organized. This is critical to every tool that we have that we launch from the database, right? We can't launch them without a database. I think I would ask you if you could tell me a number. How many of you could tell me a number? Will you rate? How many could tell me a number of your database? Is that it? Andy? Nancy? Linda? Ron? Troy, can you tell me a number in a database? Brian, not yet? Okay. If you could, then I would ask you, how many did you add to the database, maybe on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis? So some way of tracking how we're adding to that would be the next level. Got my database? This is how often we add to it, okay? The next question on your database is, do we have full data sets? So do I have a mailing address, an email address, and a cell number? So we can work on that. Because look, I can do email campaign, right? I could do traditional mail, and I can phone call. So there's my 3 ways to contact. But if I only have 2, then I only have 2 ways to contact. If I only have 1, right, you get me. So you can work on improving the data that's in the database also, okay? Okay, for some reason I have a gnat on my face. Who's got fruit in my office? Okay. Sorry. I'm being harassed. Okay, let's go. Okay. So back to, database. Okay, also, we kind of take a tour in this category to team. All right, some of you on this call, I know your production warrants starting to leverage yourself, and I would be having that discussion with you about how you're going to go about that. And does each team member, okay, laugh with me here, will you? Does each team member have clearly defined roles? Do you see how that's spelled? Leslie, do you see how this is spelled? Okay, if you have clearly defined roles, please see the exercise program on page 109. No. Okay, I'm kidding. There's a spelling error. Dang it. All right, so the book's not perfect. But anyway, if you understand your role, then and how it got there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, so we probably better fix that. Or I'll always crack up. Yeah, I know. Autocorrect does that. It says, oh yeah, everything's spelled just fine. So, but this is a chance to really think about your team and those around you, and think about the Brookshire team and the roles they play. So let's think about that, okay? All right, prospecting. How many of you wish you were more consistent in prospecting and finding more leads? Follow up. Yeah, this is, okay. Thanks for raising your hands, you guys. Lena, I see you. Thank you. Linda, thank you. Both Lindas. Okay. Okay, first, where does most of your business come from? Will you write that down? Just quick answer. Next one is top 3 sources of business. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 here. Generally speaking, how have you grown your business? And I think what I'm getting at here is, don't forget how we got here, you know? You know, there's more detail in here, like, are you consistent? What's your follow-up time? You know, all of those things are in there. Why don't you give yourself a rating of 1 to 10 in prospecting? And then at this point, is that the lowest rating so far? Is this the area that needs the most improvement? I'm looking at your faces. Yes? Thank you, John. Jessica, this is the one that needs, Troy, this is the one that needs the most attention. Okay, very good. Okay, for all you non-showering people on page 3, that's Peter, you, Darren, Kara, Julie, Jill Stringham, Jennifer, Craig Lelis, you non-showering people. I can't help it. I can't help it. But thank you for showering, for all those who have your video on. I'm very proud of you. Okay, so we better come up with a system, guys. We better come up with a way we're going to tackle this. Will you, I think here, this is such a common problem. So how can I learn to love this? Write that down. How can I learn to love this? Jill says, I look just like my photo. Yeah. Uh-huh. So how can I learn to love finding new leads? I've got to learn a way to do that and make it fun. And okay. We're going to make that, obviously this is a great resolution to have for this year, and to stick with it. Okay. Look, guys, I've got a lot more on this stuff. This is just high level. So let's go on to planning. We're going to cover a lot of this in the planning session coming up on the 21st. But how many of you are, you have a business plan in writing, you review it often? Are there modifications that need to happen. If I asked you why you're in business, could you answer that? If I asked you what's your purpose, could you answer that? If I asked you what your strategies are, could you say, yes, I know what my strategies are? I could probably go down and say, well, what are your tactics that support your strategies? And if you can say all of that, you're my A student. You know, so we probably got work to do. Remember that that's how this is laid out. These are blanks. And so they ask you, it's just asking, well, what's your reason? What's your why? And then what are your strategies and how are you going to go about doing that? That's what each of these columns are, right? Is how do I support, each strategy? Don't panic if you need more on that. Yes. Where do I get the graph? Those will be delivered with the manuals. Okay. So everyone will have one. I like the visual to keep up, in the office, and I'd love to see everybody have a visual reminder of the breakdown of their business. This is what I'd call a planning map. So the planning map. You guys have done this before, a lot of you in previous years. So I hope that you're getting kind of the hang of it, a copy of this so we can play around with it. Yeah, I mean, John, I do the same thing. I've got to have rough drafts and mess around and, pencil things in and then change it. So yeah, you can always print these and there'll be a digital format too. So you could print them at home if you want. I know that'd be 8.5 by 11, but we'll have plenty of these in the offices. Okay. Good question. So, and yeah, Angie's got copies too, already there. And Ange, there's no modifications to what we did last year on that. So we're sticking with the same format. Okay. Okay. Let's mosey right along. We're doing pretty good with our little evaluation. So planning probably needs a little bit of help. How about our presentation and our communication skills? So right off the bat, the questions are about discovery. So think about your overall rating on how you do with your presentation. What could be improved upon? How skilled are you at asking really good questions? Your ability to listen. This is all discovery, all of this. Then once we discover, then we're ready to make a good, diagnosis of the issues and the problems are clear. And now we can start looking to solve those problems. Often we get ahead of ourselves. We make too many assumptions. Our questions are not very good or they're too fast. And we need to slow down and do a better job of discovery. So, and then I'm asking you, what do you think your number one objective is when you're meeting with a potential buyer and seller? I love to have that as an open end because it tells me a little bit about how you think, which guides how I could coach you there. What do you think the most important thing is to accomplish when you're meeting with someone the first time? So this is kind of breaking down presentation. How would you rate a successful presentation? So that's kind of open-ended. So it tells me a lot about how you think about what your objectives are. I like this one for our environment, our consult meeting. How often do we have that? That's really important right now for a variety of reasons, which we've already talked about. But there's minefields everywhere with these poor buyers that are competing. Yesterday someone said buyers have to skin their knees a few times. And unfortunately, I think that is true. If we had better consult meetings, I think we could reduce that. In other words, they don't have to miss out on offers or houses right off the bat. If they were well coached and counseled with, that may change. So, all right, go ahead and rate yourself on that one, guys. This is your presentation skills, 1 to 10. How well do you do there? Okay, and then let's go to services and promises. This is the transition to, you've made all these promises. How well do you keep them? And do you keep them on time? Go ahead and rate yourself 1 to 10. Okay, we should have at this point a pretty good overview. And what I'll give you in the manual here as we come back to this summary page. And let's just go back. Whoops. Okay, sorry guys, just turning the pages. Yeah, so we come back here and we would just put those results and it would be a clear visual for you to see how you need to improve for 2021. And from there, we can make some, we should make some very specific goals, and how am I going to go about studying and things like that. Okay. All right. Any comments, questions to this point? What do you think? What did you learn about yourself, or what rose to the top so far? Anybody want to talk with me? The silence is so loud. Anybody? Come on, my all-stars. Debbie, Saxton. Come on. Who else? John, Lucky. Anybody? Debbie, I'm wondering where the past year went. Yeah, it's crazy. Debbie, so did you have your, I don't know the answer to this. Did you have your best year? You can talk to me. I got you unmuted.
Oh, yes, I did. But I still don't feel like I was able to totally tap all the potential that was out there.
Yeah. Okay. Do you mind sharing what came to light in these 10 areas? Like what, for you, what needed the most attention?
Oh, I won't belabor it. It was more just because of a lot of personal stuff going on this year.
Yeah. I hope that never gets lost on any of us that, work is only one part of our lives. It isn't the whole thing. It's frankly, I hope it never gets lost on me. I think it matters that if we can make work a better experience for us, we go home having a better experience, and that can help translate there. So we're all juggling a lot of things, which is why I think analyzing and pausing and taking some control over the things we can control is so important, because a lot of things are out of our control. So control what you can, so. Oh yeah. So you spend a lot of time helping your mother. Is that right, Debbie?
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Good for you. And that's a huge priority, and you should, right? I mean, that's the right thing to do. So, I think that's great. So, if you guys don't know Debbie, she's one of our fantastic veteran agents up in our Park City area, and a great lady. I've got, well, you're welcome. There's, let's see, anybody else want to weigh in? Elizabeth says, I need to learn to love the business. Count on my fellow Berkeys. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, Kristen. Hey, Kristen, can I unmute you? Where are you? Let's, okay. Hi, Kristen. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Okay. So verbalize that for everybody, what your comment was.
I scored myself the lowest on leverage and time management. My morning routine needs a lot of work. Granted, I have 3 kids and 2 of them have to go to school.
Yeah.
Morning is a disaster, and I am not a morning person. I really need to work on that. I know I can love it. I just haven't figured out how. But that's where I'm struggling the most, is just time management. I feel like I work nonstop. I'm often up working well before I've showered or done anything else, and not stopping until it's time to go to bed. So that's where I really, really need to figure out how to organize better and prioritize, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So what, so you don't love mornings yet?
No, I hate them.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not a morning person.
How many of you remember what YET stands for? I've talked about this before, but what does YET stand for? Does anyone remember? Angie, I know Angie does. She's heard it too many times. Type it in the chat. Do you know? When I say yet, what does it stand for? Yeah, very good, Ron. Your elected time. I think there's a choice here. Like when I choose to love the morning, then it starts to happen. So we rewire our mentality on that and start giving ourselves an affirmation. Like I don't love it yet, but I will. Well, thanks, Kristen, for sharing that. And for you guys who don't know Kristen, she's out of our Ogden office. Fantastic agent, very consistent production. Obviously, Kristen, you're a great mother. You're juggling a lot of things too. It's very impressive, how moms do that. On behalf of the male gender of the planet, okay, we appreciate mothers' ability to multitask. It's not something the male gender was, innately born with. So thank you. Okay, I watched my wife. She's amazing, and she's still amazing, but amazing with our kids. We raised 4 daughters, and 2 of our daughters were only 13 months apart. So, yeah, that was a challenge. So, but anyway, I feel you. But you're doing great, Kristen. You're doing great. So, all right, where do you guys want to go from here? I wanted to tease. I want to do a little quick kind of some repsy stuff that came up in broker calls, but they're pretty quick questions. So, you know what? Let me see if I can find. Let's see what page this would be on. Hang on, guys, just 1 second. Let me just. Okay, page 33. I'm going to take you to page 33. Won't this be awesome when we can just all do this together? Okay. So this is a kind of a pure coaching concept. This is a 6-principle way to change something. So morning routine, all right? I will have a better morning routine as an affirmation. The next principle is the key question. It could be something like, what needs to change? And this is so general that it's got a lot of power behind it. Okay. So what's the question? There's usually a question. How do I make that happen? Who can help me? What do I need to learn? How do I schedule my first task? And how do I measure and track my improvement? Those 6 principles can help with so many different things that we're struggling with. And look how it begins. It's rewiring the way we think about it. I can do this, right? I can learn this. Okay. So you'll see more about this later. This is page, it's 39. And then there's blanks. We have you can copy this and attack a number of different things that we're trying to improve. So, okay. Let me stop sharing that. Okay. Was that helpful? So if you want to be better prepared for the business planning segment that's coming up on the 21st, have some of your ideas on how you're going to tackle the areas for improvement in those 10 areas. Have any of you thought about maybe getting, a buddy in this process? Have you ever noticed that if you have a buddy waiting to go exercise with you, you're not going to let them down? You got a gym buddy, a running buddy, a riding buddy, a hiking buddy, a walking buddy, a diet buddy, a prospecting buddy, right? A goal planning buddy. You can have a better experience. So maybe that's the way to go about it. Someone says, you're our buddy, Will. Okay, good. I'm happy to be the buddy. Because this is accountability. This is, getting real about what we want. For if there's anybody who's losing the passion, kind of like Mayday, call me directly. Let's talk one-on-one and work it out. We're all kind of hard on ourselves. Human nature is we turn the volume up way too loud on our shortcomings, and we don't give ourselves near enough volume on the things we do well. Look, I love high expectations. Okay. I love them as long as you have equal emphasis on accomplishment as you do with those areas that need improvement. You see what I mean? Because when you have high expectation and you miss that, is that getting you down? If it's getting you down, then you need to turn the volume up on what you've done and what you have accomplished. Okay. Okay. Business plan. I would love for you to do, so Jennifer, I'm reading your comment. I would love for you to do this same class a couple of times a week until we have our business plan. Okay. I need organize, implement around create 6 months. Yep. This class is reminding me of so many important things. Now I'm stressed out of all the things I need to do. Okay. Okay. You guys write this down. Write this down. This is the, okay. I got help for you, Jennifer. Here it comes. You ready? Write down lesson number 5. Write down that, right? Lesson number 5. You got it? Nod your. Okay. So one of my mentors, very accomplished individual, was out with one of his mentors and they were doing their job per se. Some of you heard the rest of the story, but I'm keeping it simple. And this older gentleman, very wise, turned to his younger counterpart and said, "Don't forget lesson number 5." And eagerly, the younger counterpart reached in his suit pocket, grabbed out his notepad and wrote lesson number 5. How many of you guys have heard me say this before? He goes, "Okay, I'm ready." He says, "You ready?" He goes, "Go." He goes, "Okay, never take yourself too seriously." So he wrote down, never take self too seriously. And then he looked up eagerly and said, "Okay, what's number 1?" And his mentor again said, "Just number 5, just number 5. Okay. I think this is about loving ourselves, laughing at some of our fumbles. Don't make mountains out of molehills, you know, be equally look, if you want to be critical of yourself, fine. But are you just as praise giving as you are critical? And if you are, we can live with that. But you know, normally we're not. Normally we're not. So we got to celebrate those things along the way. Okay. You're doing better than you think you are. My goodness, we're the #1 company in Utah, and in my opinion, planet Earth. We've got professionals around us. None of us are perfect, but gosh, as a whole, we're really, really good. And we're getting better all the time. You know, life is good. You know, life is good. And I think we just have to train ourselves to look at it that way. I know a lot of you already do. I'm preaching to the choir. Okay. Okay. You want to take can I turn the channel for a second? Let's sharpen the saw in our technical skills. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. All right. How good are we at our craft? This is what came up last week. Will, yes. Got a question. Said, go, hit me. I got solar panels. They're on the house. Seller says they're not included. Buyer said they were. The Repsy says they're included. I said, okay, what question do I need to ask to discover if the solar panels are included? What question do I need to ask and discover to find out if the solar panels are included? Okay, let's go to share screen. I think I've got this up. Repsy, what question do I need to ask to discover if they are included? Okay, section 1.1. Are solar panels in there? Yes, there they are, right there, solar panels. So the following items are included unless they're excluded. So I would have to ask, was there anything in the addendum that excluded the solar panels? So the answer was no. We did not exclude the solar panels. Okay. The sale includes the following items if what? What's that key word? Owned, right? Some of you have already hit on this. So if they're owned, they're in place. Yeah, they're on the roof. then if they're owned and in place and they're not excluded and they're one of these following items, then they are included. So solar panels would be included if they were owned. So that is the key question. Are they owned? So, well, they still make payments on them. Is that a loan payment or is that a lease payment? You see the difference? If it's financing and there's a balance, then they're still owned, right? Does a person have the right to sell them? You know, the bigger question with a question like this that comes in for the broker is, why did we not talk about this earlier? Right? You know, you saw the solar panels. Well, I'll tell you why, because the buyer's agent was in a really big hurry to get their offer in as fast as possible and win the bidding process. So then we found ourselves with a bigger problem addressing the solar panels later. Okay, let's go to the next one. What section of the Rep C says that the earnest money will be credited at closing? What section of the Rep C said that earnest money will be credited at closing? How many of you know? Hit the chat. So I'm going to stop sharing and come back to that. I hope what we do, talk about, we become what we study, is this becomes, you know, a staple of our study. And that we know how to find things in there. Well, the Rep C is found in tab 3. And we go to tab 3 and we can open up the Rep C and we can find it. So I don't see the right answer yet. It's not section 3 and it's not section 8. Isn't this an important question? Someone's about to put down $50,000 of earnest money and they want confirmation that it's a credit at closing. Where would the contract state that the earnest money becomes a credit? And it's not paragraph 1. It's not the first section of the Rep C. How many of you don't know? You don't know where it is. You have to go find it. Okay, good. Anybody just don't want to admit? Troy said, okay, good. Thanks, people. It's in the additional earnest money section. Sally, okay. Is Sally right? Isn't, yep, she is. Ron's like, yep, it's 8.4. Isn't that a weird place to put it? It's kind of it's not in the right place, in my opinion. Yeah, I know, Kristen, you're shaking your head. It's in the wrong place. It's just a bad place to put it. It's the very last sentence in 8.4. Okay, so I think it's a strange place to put it. Here, let's just go here. Look at the screen, guys. We'll go to 8.4. There's additional earnest money. Very last sentence. Shall be credited towards purchase price at closing. See, the earnest money deposit or deposits shall be credited towards purchase price at closing. So, yeah, I think that's a very, very strange place to have it. When the earnest money question comes up, there's a number of places that we should go to teach and show how earnest money is dealt with, okay? One of them is also section 16, which talks about default, because this is what happens if the seller defaults. The buyer can elect one of the following remedies. Remember, they're protecting their own damage as well as the seller's damage. So we probably should review section 16 when we're talking about earnest money. And it's certainly that portions of the earnest money can become non-refundable, which brings us to 8.3 and especially the BI portion. Yeah, right here. Okay. I'm hoping that we're out of time, guys. I think that's enough on the Rep C. But I hope that what you find yourself doing is that you really study the contracts and all the language. Start to memorize them, that you can present it upside down. That becomes second nature. It will change your confidence, the way you present. It'll certainly help you solve problems. You'll know where to go. I think that the forms can be a great presentation tool. And remember that transition sentence. When someone asks a question, respond with, hey, John, that's a great question. I think we should do, why don't we look at the section of the contract, the agreement that addresses that? And then we open it and we show them. And we reach for this. If we're in person, we reach for this because this is showing us, right? Showing them our proficiency. So that's a great question. Let's take a look at the contract that addresses that. And we could do that with addendums. We could do that with all kinds of things, right? So that becomes a great way to show your proficiency instead of telling them. I know we all want to go in there and go, I'm so good at real estate, you should hire me, right? But we should really do it better. We should just show them. We should just show them, okay? Yeah, and Peter, even though the earnest money is not additional earnest money, it does mention in 8.4 that all deposits are credited at closing. All earnest money and deposits are credited at closing. So I know that's a weird place to have it, but it's not anywhere else. That's the only place that we define that it becomes a credit. And earnest money is a big deal in this competitive market. Okay, guys, we're out of time. I love you all. Thanks for joining me. Was this worth your time this morning? It was worth it? Okay. Please stay positive as you're trying to improve yourself. Don't get overwhelmed. Please don't compare to others. No one on the planet has taken the exact same journey as you. No one on the planet has the same exact gifts as you do. We're all beautifully unique. We need each other. Don't get down on yourselves at all. This is going to be a great year. We have so many things to be grateful for, including each other in this. And I look forward to helping you guys not only on a day-to-day basis, but throughout the entire year. We're just going to be fantastic again and do a lot of great things with the money that we earn. Money can do a lot of good things for a lot of good people. So, and you get to control that. So I wish nothing but the best for you. Have a fantastic day. I'll stick around and we'll unrecord. We've